Welcome to my channel. This is episode 67 of the Lina Knits podcast, my podcast about knitting, finding joy in every stitch and getting cozy in your hand knits. I am Lina and I'm coming to you from my home in Helsinki, Finland. I am a knitwear designer, a tech editor, and otherwise assist other woolly entrepreneurs. And in this podcast, I will share with you my whips. I don't have any finished objects this week. My whips and my plans. I've been toying around with the Make 9 challenge idea. So I've picked up 9 knitting or yarny projects that I want to do relatively soon within this year. Today is January the 24th, Thursday, and it's a very wintry day here in Finland. We've had a lot of snow come in, even here in Helsinki. We've had very cold temperatures. Today it's about minus 10 degrees Celsius and the sun is shining, which is good because daylight otherwise during December and January is relative term. We do have daylight, but the amount of light is not very great. Now let's just jump right in with my whips. Yeah, I've got 3 whips to show you. And let's go with the first one that's the most interesting. Well, at least I'm very happy to be able to show you this. But I'm almost done with my TREYSTA sweater. Ta-da! So I've finished the body. I don't know why it looks so mangled, but I finished the body, the rib and all bound off, and I finished one of the sleeves. I made it a bit longer than the pattern stated just because I like long sleeves in my sweaters. And I'm about 1/3 done on the second sleeve, so really not a long way to go. And if you notice something, I'm not knitting my sleeves with deep ends. The last sweater I knitted, completely blanking on the name, but the last sweater I knitted, I did it with deep ends, and the sleeves took me forever because I was finding it so difficult to keep my stitches on my needles because I have short, the 15 centimeter, that's like 6-inch deep ends. So in the beginning I was having trouble keeping them all on the deep ends. So I'm just doing magic loop. I've said it so many times here in the podcast, sorry, the wool is itching. So many times here in the podcast that I don't like magic loop. I'm still not a big fan of it. I find in general, like for sock knitting, deep ends are so much faster for me. But just needing to get the sleeves done quickly, it's overall helping with that. Plus I didn't have to get up off the couch and search for the deep ends. I could just start the sleeve as soon as I was done with the body. So I'm using 4mm needles for this one and 3.5 for the rib. And yeah, I'm knitting this with Let Lopi, which is the yarn that the sample was knitted with. Let's just go with a random ball band here. Let Lopi by Astex. It is, where does it have the information? It comes in 50 gram skeins and has 100 meters, 109 yards per skein. Yeah. So I'm really enjoying this. I love knitting with this yarn, I just do. And now that I got the first sleeve done and put the second one on the circular, I was able to try it on and it fits perfectly. It's exactly how I wanted it to be. The length, the sleeve length, the fit across the body, yeah, I can't wait to share this with you finished and to actually wear it out and in because it's really cold. Our house is heated with electricity, so trying to keep the costs down and not heat the house too much. Right, so that was my first whip. Now my second whip is something that my mom reminded me of. Hi Mom, I know you probably are watching. So for Christmas I wrapped a single fingerless mitt for my partner. I forgot to take the finished one with me, but I cast on the second one, so I didn't have time to knit the second one for Christmas because I started too late. So I've now cast on and I'm working on this whip. So this is my own pattern. I am knitting my Ordinary Magic mitts in the larger size for him. They're really snug fit for him, but they fit. So he wanted a pair of fingerless mitts to wear at work when he sits at his computer for longer periods of time. If you do that, you might also notice that you get really cold when you're just sitting down. But having something warm on your wrists really helps and helps you keep warm overall. So that's why he wanted the pair. And yeah, so Ordinary Magic mitts, the larger size, and this is the second mitt. And I'm knitting this with Madeline Toss Twist DK in the Onyx colorway. So it's a brownish black. Not good for showing up stitch patterns on camera, but it was a nice manly color and I had a single skein of it. So, and I'm knitting this on 3.5 millimeter needles, using 3 millimeter needles for the rib, and yeah, using DPNs because I just, for small things like this, I just find them easier than magic loop or any other method. I haven't tried the short circulars yet. Right, so 2 whips, both hopefully finished by the next episode. And then the third one is a new design that I'm working on. It's a shawl that I'm knitting with Woolly Mammoth fiber yarn. So I'm knitting it with Woolly Mammoth Fiber Company's yarn. It's the natural sock base, which is 50% BFL and 50% Cheviot, sourced and spun and made in the UK, fiber origin UK. 100 grams, has 400 meters, so 430 something yards. It's a fingering weight yarn, and she dyes her yarn in Northern Ireland. And the colorway is called Coast. It's a nice pale greenish bluish solid color, or as solid as hand-dyed colors go. So this is what I have so far. It's actually grown quite a lot. I've shared a few photos on Instagram, and because of the nature of the stitch patterns that I'm using, it doesn't really show up well. Yeah, I need to block it and it'll transform it into a smoother look, but lots of texture but very simple stitch patterns. And the inspiration for this came from origami, so the different folds and shapes that are created from just plain paper. So I'm interpreting it in a knitted form. This one doesn't have a name yet, and I need to finish. It'll be I've already used one skein, so I'm gonna continue on the second skein, so it'll be quite a large shawl. But that is coming up later this year. just wanted to show that to you. So those are my whips and what I'm knitting currently. And then let's move on to my plans for the near future. So moving on to plans. Usually when I'm knitting, I start thinking about things I want to knit. That sounds strange. I should be more mindful, be more present, but sometimes that's what happens. So anyway, I've been thinking about what it is I want to make. I do different crafts, and I have my wish lists and want list for all of them. Some more defined than others, but for knitting, or there's one possible crochet project in here, so woolly yarny makes that I want to do. I don't know what the official rules for Make 9 are, whether they all need to be new projects or if some can be whips. I'm not saying I'm participating in the challenge per se, but when I started listing these things that I wanted to be doing and wanted to have, I realized there were 9 of them. So this is my Make 9 for 2019. But actually I do Actually, I do sort of hope that I get most of these done, if not all, in the, say, next 4 months, which might be a bit too optimistic, but we'll see. So, these are in no particular order, but I did make the rule that I'm not including that TREYSTA sweater, which is by Jennifer STEINGASS. Oh gosh, TREYSTA sweater, because it's like almost done. 2 evenings of knitting and it should be done. So I'm not counting that, and I'm not counting things I'm doing for other people. So the mitts are not going to be on it, or any other gifts that I might plan on doing, nor will I include any designs, because if I want to publish a new design once a month, then, well, that's my Make 12 already settled there. So none of my own designs. Okay. So let's go first with whips, because there are 3 whips. And I said I'm not counting the sweater because it's almost done. Well, this is almost done too, but I think I need to put them on here so that I get them done. These crappy socks, like, this would be the perfect time to wear these. I actually would need these because if I want to wear skirts, say, around the house, these on top of my leggings, I'd be set. So, scrappy socks, project number 1. I'll go into more detail on the yarns and all that once I've actually worked on it more. If you're really curious, you can check the Say My Whip Basket episode where I've had it. So I'm gonna not really gonna speed through these, but not gonna spend an enormous amount of time on each of them, because they will get chalked on when I worked on them. So the second whip, which is really barely started, is the Rambling Woman sweater, which I haven't touched since I showed it here. So basically since the first day of knitting on it. So the Rambling Woman is by Caitlin Hunter, and it's a colorwork cardigan that's great for stash busting or skeins of DK weight yarn, which is what I'm doing. Of course, you could plan your palette and make a really coordinated and beautiful cardigan. But yes, so this will be the first project that I'll do a steek on, and I'm really looking forward to that. It's something I've never done and I've always been curious about, so this will be a good project for that. I know the yarns that I'm using are not really colorwork yarns, so they don't have that grip, so I won't do the crochet steek. I'll just use my sewing machine to get the yarns to stick or stay in place. but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Again, I've got all of the yarns picked out and they're here, but I'm not going to take them out. There are 7 different ones, I think. So we'll just get to them when we get to the project, but that's something to look forward to. Then another, okay, this one probably won't get finished within the next 4 months, but hopefully within the year. So it is my sewed cardigan by HIROKO PAYNE from issue 6 of Lina magazine. I don't think it's available for individual purchase yet, might be. So this is where I am. I haven't worked on it since I last showed it to you. So it's this really intricate, complex cable cardigan. And I'm knitting it out of Cascade 220 yarn, and I have 4 or 5 skeins of this beige color, and then 4 of a really bright electric blue, which I'm going to dye into something else to fit the sweater better. So I'm going to use this one as long as it lasts and then move on to the other one. So this is a project that really requires attention. I've been starting to listen to audiobooks. There's a Finnish subscription service for audiobooks that actually also has a lot of English books in them. So I took out a free trial of that, and I started listening to Michelle Obama's Becoming book. That's what sparked me to go look for that. I heard that she reads the book herself, and I just thought that's fantastic. So I wanted to hear the book not just in her words, but in her voice as well. So I've really been enjoying that. I'm 2/3 of the way through. It's a very long book. I think it's over 19 hours, the audiobook version. I've got about 5 hours left, and I'm finding I really enjoy it. I can listen to it on so many occasions during the day. 5 minutes there, half an hour there. So I think listening to an audiobook and knitting this could be possible. Because I usually watch TV when I knit, and that's not really conducive for that. So yeah, a tangent there, but something that I'm really into right now is audiobooks. So I think I'm gonna keep the subscription after my free trial runs out, and just if I find that I won't use it, then I'll just cancel it. But so far, I've got about 60 books in my bookshelf that I want to listen to that were on my Goodreads to read list. I still feel slightly odd saying I've read a book if I haven't read it, like actually read the words, but just listened to it. But I think I'll just have to cross over that hurdle. All right, so those are the 3 whips in my Make 9 list. The second or the 4th one is sort of a whip, sort of not. And this is the only item in my list that doesn't have a pattern or a clear idea yet. I just know I want it because I need it. I want to have a blanket. I'm thinking crochet, but it could be a knitted blanket as well. So if you've been following my podcast for a while, you know that years ago I started the Cozy Memory blanket, and I've decided to finish it into a baby-sized blanket and give it to a charity. That's still the plan. Then I started the crochet stripe blanket, which I wasn't doing from mini skeins, but from full skeins that I couldn't think of any other use for. And I've fallen out of love with this one. It's both the sort of maybe a too busy color scheme. I don't know, because I do want it to be, it can be scrappy. So, but I think, and also I just maybe not liking the stripes. So on the lookout for another crochet blanket. I also don't know if I want it to be fingering weight, if I want to hold my yarn double. Yeah. But anyway, I don't know. I think I'm gonna just rip this off. I've already like tied off some of the edges or some of the ends here. I don't know what to do with this, but I'm not gonna continue this. Take all the yarn out from the back. They're in a bag, literally in a bag, and find something else. Maybe I want to do the granny squares just with a single color and then attached those. I kind of like this one because you just crochet it and it's done. It doesn't have any of the assembly bits. So hit me with your favorite blanket patterns. They can be knitted, they can be crochet, fingering weight, or DK weight if I use the double, if I use the yarn doubled up, 2 strands together. I don't know. It's something I need, something I want to do. I just don't know how. So help me, help me with that one. All right, so that's 4 things down. Then onwards to new starts. But I won't start anything new on before I finish something else. I'm pretty certain. So, yeah. And so I think the idea and the inspiration for making my list came when I did my vlog on my stash treasures from my stash. Because I held that yarn in my hands and I was talking about it and I was like, I really do want to knit it. So I have 5 skeins of this Dovestone Natural Aran by Baram. And I want to knit JONNA HIETALA's MANET sweater from them. And I want it to be finished by the time I go to Edinburgh Yarn Festival in March. So 2 months. I've got 2 months. I think I can do it because the pattern is pretty straightforward and it's Aran weight yarn. But I do need to finish the TREYSTA first before I can start this. So that's number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. Then 6. Well, this one doesn't have a pattern, but I do know what I want to do. I've got 3 skeins of this dark blue Vuorelman Veto. And this is a I think DK sport weight sock yarn. I bought this from the craft fair in Tampere the last time I went there, so not this year but the year before that. And from the moment I bought this, I had the idea of making really thick socks with it. So I've got 300 grams of this. I'm gonna hold the yarn double, so 150 grams per sock, holding the yarn double, which will make it into sort of a worsted weight yarn. Just gonna knit simple socks, slipper socks, probably toe up, so I can then make the cuff as long as I want. Stocking it in the foot and then just rip as far as the yarn lets me do it, and then I can fold it up or keep it high. So that's the plan. Shouldn't take long to knit them, I just haven't started. All right, number 7. Yeah, number 7. This was another yarn that I picked for my treasures from my stash. It's sock yarn number 4 by Hey Mama Wolf. It's a non-nylon, non-superwash sock yarn. It's 80% wool and 20% rami, and I got this 2 years ago in 2017 from Jyväskylä Knit Fest when she was vending there, and it's just stunning, isn't it? So on my vlog, I just said I don't have a pattern for this, but actually I do. I know I want to make the fragment socks by Helen Stewart from this one. That was in one of the Lina issues as well, I think 5 maybe, 4 or 5. but it's also available individually now on Ravelry. So Fragment Socks by Helen Stewart from this Hey Mama Wolf yarn. Number 8. Okay, so I've already got the yarn picked out for this one. It's another Stash Buster DK weight. Oh no, it's the wrong bag. Sorry. We've already gone through that one. So it's another Stash Buster. Why is that so difficult to say? Stash Buster 4 DK weight yarn. It's the Comfort Fade cardigan by ANDREA MOWRY. So I've got a whole bunch of yarn picked out here. I think there's more colors. Yeah. Okay, I think that's showing most of the colors. Some of them have different skeins. I think for this you need 6 or 7 skeins. So here is my selection. All are gorgeous, but I just haven't figured out projects for them. And I really like cardigans, cozy cardigans. So Comfort Fade. Yarn picked out and bagged. And then number 9. This one I don't have the yarn picked out for, but I know the pattern. It's the Soil Sweater by LEENI. It's a fairly simple, straightforward raglan sweater, color blocks for fingering weight yarn. And I'm gonna use it as a stash buster for my lovely single skeins of fingering weight yarn that I have too many of. Yes, you can knit shawls with them, and that's fine and lovely, but I think a fingering weight sweater from those, I think I'm gonna try to pick the yarns that have a bit of silk content in them, or then I might not. But I need 4 skeins for it, and each are gonna be different, so 4 different skeins. But I haven't picked those out yet, because I know if I do, I just want to start it, and I really need to work on the whips and the more urgent plans first. So I'm gonna save that, because I would love picking out yarn for projects, especially if I get to do that from my stash. This is something really satisfying about that. So I'm gonna save that for when I've finished a few of these that I already know the yarn and pattern for. So those are my plans, and I debated on whether it would be a good idea to share them with you or not, because sometimes I feel like if I share my plan here, it never happens. But then again, I do feel pretty confident with these, and you know, if it doesn't happen, it's life, and I do want this to be real. So sharing my Make 9 knitting plans, we'll see how many of them I actually finish and in what time frame. I know I tend to be overly optimistic with things that I can finish, but yeah. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't yet subscribed, you can hit the subscribe button, and that way you will know when I upload new videos, which is on a weekly basis. So thank you so much. Happy knitting. See you soon. Bye.